Hi, my name is Fred Stokes. I'm a member of the USO Board of Governors, the Senior Vice President of Pro Sales and Services at Lowe's Home Improvement, and a proud veteran. I would like to personally welcome you to Transition to the Trades, presented by the USO and Generation T, powered by Lowe's Military. Lowe's and the USO have a 10-plus year history together focused on supporting the military community, honoring our veterans, and assisting causes like workforce development and affordable housing. We're incredibly excited to bring these virtual workshops to all USO centers worldwide. Today, you will hear from industry professionals about making a transition from the military life to potential lucrative careers in the skills trades. Specifically, careers in the construction trades, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, appliance repair, and more. By 2028, there will be over 3 million unfilled jobs in the skilled trades. Good paying careers for entrepreneurs looking for stability and work-life balance. Today, for every 5 tradespeople that leave the skilled trades, only 1 person is waiting to fill that opening. This is called a labor crisis in the construction industry, driving up production costs and extending the amount of time to build new homes and provide services like air conditioning repair. Recognizing these issues, Lowe's created Generation T in 2018 to help revitalize the skilled trades and creating career opportunities for people like you. Generation T is a collaboration of over 80 national partners working to influence how Americans view skilled trades careers. Providing education about potential careers and information and connections to training programs and local businesses looking to train up-and-coming professionals. Our hope is to provide you with information and opportunities to help make the transition a little bit easier. We hope that you enjoy the following program and find the information helpful. From all of us at Lowe's, congratulations on taking the first step and best of luck to you as you move forward in your journey.
All right. Thank you, Fred. Welcome, everyone. My name is Lauren Norman, and I am from our Generation T Pro Customer Engagement team here in Charlotte, North Carolina. On behalf of our entire team, we want to thank you for tuning in to learn more about careers in flooring installation. We're excited to bring this session to you today through our partnership with the USO and Installation Services. I'm confident you will enjoy getting to meet Mike Piper from our Lowe's military team and Dave Garden, the president of Installation Services, who started his business out of his garage with his wife and now has grown to one of the largest flooring installation companies in the Midwest. Flooring installers are a critical part of the construction industry. As Fred just shared, we are facing a massive shortage of skilled trades professionals across our industry, and over 32% of current pros in the US are planning to retire in the next 7 to 10 years. Over the past 50 years, society has pushed more of our young people into college classrooms and away from the skilled trades. In fact, only 14% of high schools today offer trade education programs, and students feel like it's a threat to their identity if they do not get a 4-year degree, and only 5% of parents recommend the trades to their child. We are facing a growing workforce gap with the number of jobs that are needed in the skilled trades industry and the shrinking number of people to fill them. Jobs that are essential to our economy, jobs that are needed for housing, building, roads, infrastructure, and flooring. As you think about what is next for you and your family, we hope today's session will inspire you to take the next step to explore the 3 million job openings that await you in the skilled trades. Our next slide highlights how you have already begun the transition to the trades through your military experience and service. You have obtained extensive hands-on training and technical experience. You know what it takes to work on a team, lead others, and be an effective communicator. You have proven your dedication to our country and serving others. You can work well under pressure and solve a variety of critical life-threatening problems. And you also have demonstrated a strong work ethic and the drive to succeed. So now let's go ahead and talk about why we're here tonight. So next slide. It's about becoming a flooring installer. So I want everyone to just take a moment and look at the floor under where you are sitting or you are standing right now. Most likely it's carpet, hardwood. I have hardwood floor right here. Could be tile or some other sort of vinyl material. And think about, when was the last time you went into a building and there wasn't a finished floor? Right. So as we think about, our flooring installers keep us grounded by creating a foundation for every single building in which we work, live, and play. The planks of wood or slabs of stone can also be used to create great beauty with unique designs and custom services. Flooring installers prepare, inspect, measure surfaces for flooring installation, as well as inspecting and repairing damaged floor coverings. And it doesn't stop there. When you think about sales roles and other related jobs based on having that specialized experience. In today's session, you're going to learn all about the job, what it takes to do the job, and most importantly, how you can get started. Our next slide provides a snapshot of the flooring installer job requirements. So if you're wondering about salary, this job can pay by the square foot, and with overtime, you can easily earn 6 figures. And especially with the market, the way that it is right now, as far as demand, you're going to hear all about that from Dave as far as the earnings potential. Training is typically hands-on through an apprenticeship or specialized training. A high level of technical skill, creativity, and problem solving is needed based on the variety of materials, surfaces, and tools that you use. So before we begin our fireside chat with Mike and Dave, I invite you all to sit back and watch one of my favorite videos that reinforces how the trades have not only built our society, but are essential to our future. We are Generation T.
They said our capes didn't show to enough class to be heroes. They said we were the butt of the joke because we didn't attend their Ivies. But they forgot to mention, debt is not the prereq to living the dream. You don't have to lean on a desk when you have the drive to design your own league. By design, these hands summon creativity. Technology and trade. Two converging paths, Mother Earth and Mother Board, shaping the terrain for the next generation. We are the rightful journeymen, the waymakers. When the banks crash and the stocks fall, we set the bearings straight. Scrape our knees on sunbeams, hold families together within the framework of our mind, turn businesses into our business. With the vision that keeps the lights on, we build a better world out of thin air. This is the what if for the future masters of trade. The electricians and bricklayers, solar power technicians, energy auditors, tiny home builders for the ones who don't care about the color of a collar. Craftsmanship is a calling. What if the naysayers were so worried about making it in society, they forgot to value the hands that make the society? What if you could live the life you've always dreamed right from where you are? Your career choice isn't a matter of right or wrong. It's a matter of knowing what you can do. There's work to be done. Are you ready?
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the wonderful Transition to the Trades Fireside Chat. Really excited to be here today to talk with you about flooring and be able to introduce you to Dave Garden. But before we do that, Danielle, let's hit him with a poll. Let's go ahead and figure out what's going on in your lives. We want to know how it's going for you from a transitional perspective, how long you have until you transition out, and also how long have you served, as well as some other questions on there. So please feel free, jump in there, go ahead and get started on that poll. to get us going here as we kind of kick off this fireside chat. I want to take a second to introduce myself. My name is Mike Piper. I run our military recruiting programs here at Lowe's. I'm an Air Force veteran, and I was a mechanic in the military before transitioning out to help service members and military spouses in a career path here at Lowe's, as well as other retailers in the past. So super excited to be here with you tonight. But want to go ahead and welcome in Dave Garden, who is an installation services pro for Florence. We'll give him a second to kick on his camera. There he is. How's it going, Dave?
Fantastic. Yourself?
Good. Doing well. Doing well. All right. We're going to kick it off with a very easy question to start everything off, because we all know sometimes we got to get a little warmed up before we go. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about your business, and we'll start off with that one.
Tell me about my business first.
Yourself and then your business.
Myself. All right. Well, my name is Dave Garden. I'm my military background actually stems to my dad. I was a military brat as a kid. My dad was in the military, and I was stationed in Panama. Stationed down in Panama. So I was actually born down in Panama, which is something interesting about my birth certificate. It was always different than other kids. Also, when I travel to a different nation, for some reason they always think that I speak Spanish, which I do not. I do not. I wish I did. It'd be much easier to communicate in our modern world. But yeah, I was raised in a house that was very neat because of the military. We were always very organized, very neat, and not militant, but we knew who was in charge. I could say that. So growing up, in actuality, when I watched that video speaks to, I always thought that I was a disappointment to my father. My father was an officer in the Army. I did not go to college. I joined the trades instead. And I didn't know until he was much older how proud he was of the business that my wife and I built. And I never knew that because I never bothered. I never stopped to ask. I never stopped to look, right? And it took that moment. But he was very proud of what Kath and I did. And the reason for that is we built it, everybody says, out of our garage. That's where it started, in my garage. And I used to have vans lined up around the corner getting carpet out of my garage. And the nuts part about that is my family room in my house got replaced over and over again, training people how to install carpet. I mean, it was nuts. I just bring the piece by, man. We're going to seam it right onto this part of the family room, and so the family room looked like a quilt for a while. But it worked. It worked, and eventually, when you start treating people or training people, and you treat them, the way that you want to be treated yourself, your business grows. And we didn't even realize we were growing a business. And we turned around one day, we turned around, and our business is doing $4 million a year. And that's how long ago that was, because we're doing so much more than that now. But we thought we made it right at that point, man. We made it. We did what we accomplished to do, and what we didn't know is we were just starting. Wow. And so the funny part about that is now I look at it and I say we're just starting. And really, our business, and I say my business, is so untrue. It's our business, because my wife, my oldest son, works that business, and of course there's all the people that help build it are the people that work for me. Yeah. And they're all great people. All right, they're all great people. I go through the wall for them; they go through the wall for me. And sometimes we bust down opposite sides of it, right?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Well, first, thanks for sharing everything about your business. It's incredible to know. And I hope all of our service members and military spouses out there heard that there was a line of trucks hanging out outside of his garage to start this business in the very beginning. So once again, you can start from very little to way, way more in the skilled trades industry. It's a very lucrative industry to go about. Really excited to see the poll results here, David. So let me share you some of these poll results. Over 64% of our individuals that are attending today have either been a military spouse or service member that has served in the military for 15 plus years. 86% of them are E5 or above. And let's see, 45% of them are getting out within the next 6 months to a year. The other 36% of that, the other high one is 36, and they are out now. So we have a lot of service members here sitting at 55%. Really excited for that. And I think that's a great opportunity for us to kind of talk about how you got started in the trade. You kind of mentioned it a little bit there in the beginning, but I know there was some training that you had to do, and there were some other things in the beginning. So take me through how you got started into the trades, and then we'll go into how others can get started in the trade.
All right. Well, for me, it again, I was a family disappointment as I didn't want to go to school or continue high school into college. I had to have that moment with my dad where I told him, look, I don't want to go to college. It wasn't for me. And he didn't understand that because in his mind, I was strong in all the aptitude tests that you would think would put somebody but I couldn't sit that long. It wasn't going to work for me. I mean, it just wasn't going to work for me. So he called up a family friend who ran a shop, and he put me on a truck with somebody else. It took me 18 months, a little over a year. And in that time, I made no money whatsoever as a helper. And that's what we call the apprentices. We call them helpers. And the reason for that is most people would, where I fit in the trades is I got involved at that time where professionalism started declining and people were just trying to make a quick buck. And so they weren't doing the job as correctly as they needed to do it. And so therefore the guy that trained me wasn't teaching me how to install. What he was doing was teaching me how to make him money. And so it was a tough start. It was a real tough start because I had to account for the fact to my parents that I wasn't making any money, yet working 60 hours a week. And that kind of sounds like being in the military, I know, but it's one of those things though. I learned, but I didn't learn correctly. And then when I went out on my own, I started my own business because you can only do that for so long. I gathered up as much money as I could. I had saved during the time, and I bought tools. And as it went, I'd buy a tool this week, and then buy another tool the next week. And as soon as I had my tools, I was off and going. And I was doing my own thing. Now, fortunately for me, I was able to overcome some shortcomings that I had with my hand skills, with my attitude, and the fact that I was a kid. I really, at that time, mind you, I'm old now. But I was a good-looking kid, and people liked my smile. So I was able to do things that other people weren't. At least get away with things other people weren't. But I eventually learned. But as I got older, I started realizing that system was just so broke. I mean, it was a broke system, and that's why I got involved with CFI. And started training other people, and that's been a real true blessing because it taught me so much on how to run my own business, run my own jobs, just hanging around other people that felt the same way I did. So it was a great relationship for me, and now look at it grew my business exponentially because the more professional I was, the more people treated me like I was a professional. And then you don't think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you touched on something. You said something really quick, and it was, and I don't know if the audience caught it, but you said CFI. So tell us a little bit real quick about CFI, because we're going to talk about how people can get into this industry and doing the flooring. So tell us a little about CFI, and then tell us just a little bit about how you can get started with training to be a floor installer.
Well, it's interesting because right now I am at the Northwestern Georgia Northwestern College Tech Institute. GNTC. We're up in Dalton. I am teaching a 10-week floor covering class that is there for for anybody actually. Now we scholarship people to go through the FCEF, which we'll get into in a second. And when they leave here, they're on their way to becoming a floor covering guy, and they can skip all those steps that I had where I just couldn't make any money because I had to work with somebody else. And they can get out and actually just start making money, which is and let's face it, guys, if you're not making an income, you don't want to do it. and I'm with you. So the CFI, what happened there was, and the CFI stands for Certified Floor Covering Installers. That's actually International Certified Floor Covering Installers. But we started off in 1993, and our mission was just to identify which installers could install and which ones, and where the skill level was. But then as we did that, we had to look at the industry. So that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is we need installers. We got to start training people. So we kind of refocused what we were doing to just focus on the training. And then when we looked at training, we said, you know what, that's not even good enough. We need to start recruiting people. So we need to recruit people into the trade. And there's a couple things that need to be fixed. Because for the longest time, and what installers did for themselves was they accepted less and less pay because they didn't understand how to run a business. And that kind of turned in the last few years. And now you see where you saw that median income of $41,000. That's not enough to make a living. And if I find an installer making $41,000, I'm a little bit upset with him because it's not working. But it's just not working. In reality, I mean, I've got tile setters out there that are making $4,000 a week.
Wow.
And so that I've got, those are guys working for me.
Yeah.
So it's become a good trade. It's become a very good trade, and that's just tile. I mean, we do all four surfaces. We do vinyl and vinyl plank and wood laminates and carpet as well. And they all the pay has increased so much for floor covering. But the problem that we've had was we can't get people to understand the trade's even there.
Yeah.
Because if it's done right, you never see it.
Yeah. Until Lauren asks you to look down and look at your floor, because then you got to remember that it's there, right?
Well, that's my thing, right? I mean, just think about it. You can't be a professional football player today without playing on my product. Yeah. But it's as simple as that. You walk on everything we do, and yet people don't know that the floor covering is a trade. So as trades go, it's kind of step back and step back and step back. We've allowed that to happen because we're quiet, and we've been very quiet. And then as you sit there and you think about this, we have such a need for installers now because we haven't recruited people. We haven't let people know. And let's face it, if you go up to a front of a house, you just drive through a new subdivision, you'll see them putting on the roof. You'll see them putting in windows. You'll see the rough carpenters, you'll see the bricklayers. You know how long you see the floor covering guy? You see a van out in the driveway, a guy carries a rug in, and that's all you see. Yeah. So people don't really know it's a trade anymore. And yet not only is it a trade, it's a skilled trade that it really takes the right kind of hand to do. But it can be taught, and you can make some good money doing it.
Yeah, so
nice living.
Yeah, so I want to jump into that skills portion, right? So, but before we do that, I'm going to take a real quick pause here and let everybody know that the question and answer section in the Zoom chat, should be like down here somewhere, right around there, is open for you to be able to ask any questions that you have for Dave or myself. You've already heard a little bit about how lucrative the floor installation trade can be. But if you have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat there in the question and answers, and we'll be able to get to them here as we get going in a few questions here. So you've talked and you hit the skills portion, Dave, and there was a lot of talk about skills and the skills trades, but also just the skills. So what are the transferable skills that you see from the military that really goes into floor installation and into the industry itself?
Well, I could tell you what would help me out. That organization is huge. And I grew up in a very organized family. And if you're in the military, everything is regimented, right? You get up at a certain time of the day, you go. People in the military, they're not late. All right. When I got involved with the trades to begin with, my dad did tell me two things. He says, listen, if you're going to do this, just remember a couple of things here. Show up on time every day and you'll make a good living. And he said, do your work every day, work hard every day. And sooner or later, you'll find out you're the best at what you do. And that comes from the military. And that really does come from the military. Because what do you do in the military, right? You do the same thing over and over and over again, right? And mind you, if you're in it for 15 years, maybe you're done doing that. I get that, but you don't become good at shooting a gun without practice. It's as simple as that. I mean, everything in the military is very regimented, very very organized. And if you're going to get ahead at any trade, the more organized you are, the better off you be. You don't have to buy as many tools as the next guy because he's always losing his, right? You don't have to, all that stuff helps you out because that's all money. A pair of pliers costs you $20, right? You know, no, I got to tell you that guy that dropped out of high school buys a new pair of pliers every week. Guys from the military, and I get called out on this constantly because when I grew up with other guys, I go in and I'll lay out a tarp, right? And I'll put all my tools on a tarp because it keeps everything organized for me. And I got asked one time, the guy says, what branch of the military were you in? I said, what are you talking about? He says, well, your tools are laid out like you're a mechanic working in the military. I go, oh, I'm a mechanic. My dad was an officer in the military, but I'm not a mechanic here. And he said, well, that's how they do that in the military. So, but mind you, the other thing I always did was I always marked all my tools, right? Every one of my tools had a certain marking on them. Why? Because they were my tools. The military helps with that stuff because it helps you keep all that stuff organized. And then so you just make money. The fact that you're on time in the military, what's that do when you're out in the secular world out here? I gotta tell you, man, you're on time every day, you're gonna be the leader of your shop. That's the way it's gonna work, right? And the military sets you up for that, and it sets you up for that kind of success.
Oh yeah, no, that's great. Bernard had the ultimate military comment in the chat section. If you're on time, you're late. So appreciate that because that's the ultimate military comment there. And then Dave, I'm laughing the entire time we're talking about tools because you're talking about them having a specific spot. Me being a mechanic in the military, if I go out in my garage, I actually sit still. I cut my own foam and I have foam in my tool bins that every place has its own spot for its tools. So that way I don't lose it. It drives me insane to not have it organized. But what advice do you have for individuals that are looking to get into this trade and is new to the industry?
What advice I would, if I'm looking to get into a floor covering trade, I would look into, instead of going to work in somebody's truck for a couple of years, I would look into going into one of the schools. And they have a 5-week program, I think is the longest one. So, and mind you, at the end of that time, you're an installer. So you can skip all the rigmarole where you're an apprentice laying pad for somebody else or putting down taxer for somebody else. You can skip all that and just get right to the nuts and bolts and how it's going to work for you. And it also gives you time to find out if that trade's for you, because let's face it, if you're going to work for somebody in somebody else's truck, it's going to be 6 months before you figure out whether or not you like doing it. Well, in 6 months' time, you're making some money here. If you get into a school. So that's what I would suggest.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Great. All right. So let's talk about that because you're talking about getting the advice to get into somebody that's new, but let's prepare them for possibly that next step. Where do you see the industry going in the future? Like we talked about, there's going to be this huge skilled trades gap, and we're already feeling it, right? Like house prices are skyrocketing. It's 6-7 months plus waiting list to get anything done from an installer right now. At least in my area in Charlotte, it's like up to almost a year now. But we're already starting to feel it. So where do you see the industry going in the future?
Well, it's funny you should say that because I just had this talk today about technology.
Yeah.
Right. And so everything's an app. And so we think well, trades can't be an app, right? Because an app isn't going to put the carpet on my shoulder. It's not going to stretch it in. But you know what? The seaming irons we use today are different than the ones we used when I got into the trade. We don't have to use a heat anymore. We now use radio wave jigger diggers. And the other thing is that when you go in to do details, when you go into measure a job or estimate a job, everything's on your phone now. You no longer have a paper trail that you leave. And you no longer have an envelope in your van with all your gas receipts. Because what do you do now? You take a picture of it, you put it in a file on your phone, right? Yep. And it helps keep everything organized. So things are getting easier, and they're getting more simple, not easier, because easier would mean that we don't have to do anything. But sorry, I'm a Michigan fan. But they get more simple for us because we're easier to organize ourselves. Yeah. Therefore, we have more time to do the things that mean something to us. We no longer have to chase things. And as far as the technology goes, I had to show today, or I had the opportunity to show today, that the nailers that we use now, we no longer have to use air compressors for everything. We now have nailers that have batteries on the back of them. We buy them at Lowe's, but they have batteries on the back of them, so you just flip the battery out. So now you're not carrying a cord throughout the house to put down your subfloor, put down your tack strip, and it is or put up your shoe molding, right? It's made our lives easier, and I think that's important for this next generation of installers because they're willing to work. We're all willing to work, but they don't want to be broke down. They don't want to. They don't want to. You look at an old tradesman; he's all knuckled over. His knuckles are all curled. He walks with a hunchback, and the reason is he never took care of his body. And that's the other thing the military does, right? I mean, people in the military have to take care of themselves because the government will tell them they have to. But you have to take care of yourself. The younger generation eats a lot better than we ate. They do things a lot better than they take care of their bodies a whole lot better than we did. Yeah. And they look at things with safety first. Am I going to be safe doing this? Man, and you see the all the memes on Facebook and all those social media stuff from, this is what I was like in the 70s. Yeah, you know what? That's why you got the dent in your head. But the kids today are just smarter. They're smarter, they're going to work smarter, and therefore all this stuff is going to be a little bit more simple for them.
Yeah, and I think we talked a little bit about transferable skills from the military, and you just said safety. Obviously, in the military, safety's first for us at any time, at any point. So that's always a key point to this as well. But we did have a question from the audience that I do want to jump on really quick because they had a question for you, Dave. They said, what made you do floor installation as opposed to the other trades?
Well, the tools were less expensive.
Got it.
Right. You want a real honest answer? I chose floor covering because it was a lot less expensive for me to get involved with floor covering than it was for me to buy all the stuff needed to be an electrician. Yeah. All right. Okay. It just is. I mean, I started off, I probably spent, including my power stretcher, mind you. And this goes back into the 80s. I know I'm dating myself here, but that first set of tools cost me about $1,100 from start to finish. My truck I bought used, cost me another $1,100. So I had a $2,200 investment in the career. Think about it. But you don't get that anywhere else, man. So that's why I chose floor covering. It was that and the shop I went for had a good softball team.
There you go. There you go. Now you're talking my speed. You're talking about softball. Let's hit it up. All right, perfect. Well, that's great. So I want to make a reminder real quick to the audience. If you have any questions, drop them into the question and answers there. Definitely want to hear from you. See if you have any questions. I know we have people from all across the country. I don't know if I saw anybody from overseas. If you're from overseas, comment where you're at in the chat because I want to hear from you. We heard a lot from the East Coast and a lot out in California that's out here with us tonight. But Dave, let's talk a little bit about what individuals can do to kind of improve their career prospects as an installer and how they can really go forward in that entrepreneur spirit and really drive themselves into a situation similar to yours. We started out in a garage and now you're one of the major installers in the Midwest.
Well, what I would do to begin with is I would give myself a good website, right? You need to have something to attract people to. The other thing I would do is I wouldn't be afraid. You can't be afraid to work hard, of course. But don't be afraid to walk through the doors when they open. There's doors open for all of us. Most of us don't want to walk through them because we're afraid of that next step that could make us a tremendous amount of money. The other thing I did was I bid everything. Tell you, I wanted to be a commercial workroom, and I must have put in 100 bids in a month, right? And then those things take forever to put together when you're doing commercial work. But that first one that said yes opened up a ton of doors. And so never be afraid to put the bid and never be afraid to take your shot. The other thing is never be afraid to learn. What I did that really set me apart was I went to seminars. I went to seminars that you didn't think it sounds stupid, right? But I started off as a carpet installer and I wanted to lay hardwood. So I went to the local distributor and started going to these Saturday morning seminars to learn how to lay hardwood. Mm-hmm. And after 4 Saturdays, and each time I'm picking up a tool here, I'm picking up a tool there. I'm trying not to tell my wife when she knows, why are you buying this? But then one day, the guy at the shop says, we need somebody to take out this job, which is a hardwood job. I said, I'm ready. I'm ready. And I sat there in the garage. I'll never forget this. Sat there in the garage on a bucket, read the directions to make sure that I had the right guns and the right stuff for the job. And don't be afraid to do that. You got to invest in yourself, and you have to invest in your education. Mm. And I'm saying this, and I started off by stating that I was not a guy that was going to sit through high school, right? I wasn't going to sit through college. But here as an adult, once I started working with my hands, I started wanting to learn. And what I found out was my hands could teach me. And my hands made me want to read. My hands made me want to learn. And then all of a sudden I'm sitting through these seminars, which is like school, and I'm soaking it all in, right? I'm just soaking it all in. And so now look at me all these years later, I'm the one teaching the seminar. So it's funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that we always talk a lot about with the veteran space is we're hungry to learn. Veterans, military spouses, service members, they're hungry to learn. And I think that's a huge aspect to this, and also a huge aspect to obviously owning your own business. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and what I'll do is I'll close it on out. And I'm gonna close it out with something I just heard you say, Dave, and it just keeps resonating in my head this entire time you and I have been talking. And it sounds like to me, follow your fears, right? Don't be afraid to follow your fears and just start, right? Start somewhere. Start learning, start looking up things, figure out, go to CFI and get yourself in a class to be able to start with the installers. Go for it.
I have one more thing. If the guys actually, if one of the people on the call is interested, that link that you showed with the FCEF, they'll scholarship you to one of the schools. And that's pretty cool. because you don't have to lay out as much initial investment.
Yeah.
Right. It's that's a great way to learn. And it doesn't have to be, there's NWFA, there's CTEF, and there's CFI. And those are the three major bodies that actually teach people how to lay floor covering. I, of course, am going to push one over the other.
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean the others aren't good. They're excellent schools. All right. They're excellent schools. The point is to learn. And the more you learn right away, the better off you'll be.
Yeah, perfect. So once again, for everybody, there is a inside the chat, if you haven't seen it, there's a link, and it's a link to some additional training and scholarship information. Definitely take a look at that. Like Dave said, Dave's with CFI, like has an affinity for CFI installers, but really out there's a lot of resources for you, as you all know, because there's millions and millions of different resources. But talk with your USO transition coach. Talk with your individual that you're working with from a transition perspective. Maybe it's the local TAP, Soldier for Life, Marine for Life. Talk with them about your transition, and I guarantee they'll have some information for you to get into the skilled trades industry at no cost to yourself. Probably. Good chance that there's some scholarships out there, some ways for you to get started in the skilled trades, to include flooring. So with that, Dave, I'm going to say thanks for, coming by and sharing your knowledge. I'm still blown away. It still blows my mind that you were able to start from so small. There's a lot of great things that start in a garage, right? I mean, there's some high tech places that start in a garage, but you know what? Dave started a pretty cool flooring installer company, and now has grown that into a pretty lucrative business with his wife. And that's a pretty cool story to go from doing it in your house and training people in your house to now doing it outside and doing even more.
Hey, my wife's the one who showed all the patience.
Yeah.
All right. I had the big dreams. She showed patience.
Oh, perfect. Well, I appreciate you stopping by, Dave. We're going to do some wrapping up. So Danielle, let's throw up some slides and go on down through the list here. So we have at Lowe's a great program called Track to the Trades. So you can actually come to Lowe's and we work with us part-time. So you don't have to have that trainings piece where you might not make that much money or be able to afford some bills. We'll pay you. You'll work with us full-time or part-time, and you can actually learn in 5 key skilled trades areas. So you can learn in carpentry, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and appliance repair. And I'll tell you, the training's pretty cool now. But I got a glimpse at a future of Track to the Trades the other day. And let me tell you, that training that's coming out for the new Track to the Trades later on this year is going to be pretty cool, I think. So definitely take a check out that. Really cool opportunity to work part-time and then also get training in the skilled trades, get your pre-apprenticeship, and then be able to move out and journey out to get an apprenticeship. All right, and then the next slide, Danielle. We got some next steps for you, because we all know we love checklists, and we all know we like to have a follow-up after this. So here are some opportunities. If you want to learn more about Generation T, we are generationT.com. We are generationT.com. Learn more about the skilled trades. You can also go to the Floor Covering Education Foundation, FCEF.org. Right there to be able to learn more about floor installation. That's where you can find the scholarship information and additional training as well. And then you got, it's number 2, connect with your USO Pathfinders, Trainers, and Specialists. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I live, breathe this industry. I help veterans out. I sit in the military space a lot. I help a lot of military spouses as well. And I will tell you right now, the USO does it right when it comes to the transition programs. So get in contact, uso.org/transitions. If that was there when I got out in 2012, I promise you, I probably wouldn't have been in some of the situations that I was. And I definitely would have been able to probably generate a resume a little bit better than what I could after getting out. So connect with them. And then your third option down there is obviously lots of different opportunities from a career perspective. If you have any interest in getting into the skilled trades, not just flooring, but also any of the other ones, you've reached out to us at militaryrecruiting@lowes.com. One of the members of the military recruiting team will help guide you in the right way and get you in touch with the right individuals for the skilled trade industry that you're interested in. If you're interested in flooring and you are in the Midwest, Dave's website's right there. You can check out his website. He's always, like he said, he's always looking for floor installers. So take a look at that, installation services, and be able to connect with Dave, look at some opportunities there. Great career opportunities.